Today. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome and thank you for attending today's town hall meeting. My name is Joey Orr, and I'm going to be the moderator for today for this important discussion about Local Amendment 1. I'm going to, just for a minute, I want to read that to you so we're all on the same page. In case you don't have that in front of you, this bill will propose an amendment to the Constitution of Alabama of 2022 relating to the Coleman County to levy a 15% sales tax on the sales of lawfully sold medical cannabis products and would provide for its distribution. It would become effective on the first day of the second month after the ratification of this amendment. All provisions of the state sales and use tax statutes with respect to the payment, assessment, and collection of the state sales and use tax, making of reports, keeping and preserving records, penalties for failure to pay the tax, adopting rules with respect to the state sales tax and use tax, and the administration and enforcement of the state sales and use tax statutes, which are not inconsistent with this amendment, shall apply to the tax levied herein. All provisions of the state sales and use tax statutes that are made applicable by this amendment to the tax levied under this amendment and to the administration and enforcement of this amendment are incorporated by reference and made a part of this section as is if fully set forth herein. This tax shall be collected as the Coleman County Commission from time to time may determine, either by the Commission or by any person, whether public or private, with which the Commission may contract to collect the tax levied herein. All amounts collected by the Commission from the tax shall be remitted by the County Treasurer as follows. A, 67% to the District Attorney of the 32nd Judicial Circuit for personnel purposes. B, 33% to the Coleman County Legislative Delegation to be used at their discretion on mental health issues. For the purpose of this section, medical cannabis product means product lawfully sold in the county in a dispensary licensed by the Alabama Medical Cannabis Commission. This will appear on the local ballot on November 5th and will be consistent of the following language. Following the Coleman County proposing an amendment to the Constitution of Alabama of 2020 to levy a 15% sales tax on the sales of lawfully sold medical cannabis products and would provide for the distribution of tax proceeds to the Office of the Coleman County District Attorney and for mental health purposes, proposed by Act number 223-255. You will then have the option to vote yes or no. An important side note to this discussion that I think we need to make clear is that according to Act number 224-342 in the state of Alabama, medical cannabis is considered a medical grade product in the form of any of the following: oral tablet, capsule, or tincture, non-sugar-coated gelatinous cube, gelatinous rectangular cuboid, or lozenge in a cube or rectangular cuboid shape. 3, gel, oil, cream, or other topical preparation. 4, suppository. 5, transdermal patch. 6, nebulizer. 7, liquid or oil for administration using an inhaler. The term does not include any of the following: raw plant materials, any product administered by smoking, combustion, or vaping, or a food product that has medical cannabis baked, mixed, or otherwise infused into the product, such as cookies or candies. All right, with that being said, our goal today is to provide factual information, hear from our speakers, and answer any questions that you all may have. Before we begin, I want to lay a few ground rules to ensure that we have a productive and respectful forum today. 1, please be respectful to all the speakers, panelists, and attendees. Time management. Panelists are going to have a set time to speak, followed by one moderated question for each one of them. Stay on topic. Please focus your question on the proposed amendments and its related topics. And then audience participation. After the panel discussion, we'll open the floor up. Please hold your questions until that time. I'll provide instruction on how we're going to approach the podium and ask a question for that section of the meeting when we get to that shortly. Okay? So now I would like to introduce our panelists for today who are here to provide insight into the amendment and its potential impact. First, I have Champ Crocker with the District Attorney of Coleman County. Okay. We have Chris Van Dyke, who is the COO of Wellstone Incorporated. We have Captain Ed Potter, who from Coleman County Sheriff's Office Victim Services. And we have Joey Robertson from Wagon Trail Hemp Farms. Please join me in welcoming our panelists. To begin, we're going to give each panelist an opportunity to introduce themselves and provide an opening statement on their thoughts regarding local amendment 1. Anything you'd like to say with that? You're going to have a time limit of 3 minutes. Riley is going to raise her hand at 2 minutes, and then she'll say time at 3, so we can make sure that we stay within allotted time. Okay? District Attorney Champ Proctor will begin with you.
Thank you very much. I want to say thanks to Wallace State and Dr. Karlowitz for hosting the event, Joey and the Chamber for helping us facilitate this, and all of you who are here today. I would be remiss if I did not recognize the members of the District Attorney's staff who are here with us today. We don't have all of our staff. Some of them are in court as we speak, but I would just point out, if you're a member of the District Attorney's staff, please stand. We've got Assistant District Attorney Nathan Brock, Trial Coordinator Lanisha Lovell, Helping Families Initiative Team Leader Shalita Turbyfield, Lisa Dorning, who is our Worthless Check and Child Support Team Leader, and Bradley Williams, our Victim Service Officer. Thank you all for being here. It is an honor to work with these people on behalf of the citizens of Coleman County. So, why we're here, I am not here to endorse a ballot measure. The law actually prohibits me from endorsing a ballot measure. I am here to give you information about what we would do if this does pass. This ballot measure was put on the ballot by way of a bill, and the bill says that any funds that the District Attorney's Office receives shall be used for personnel. Okay? It is earmarked for personnel. Why does that matter? It matters because when I took office in January of 2023, I inherited 20 murders. I have resolved 9 of them in a little over a year and a half. I've tried 6 of them myself and obtained convictions. We had a backlog of cases, and it takes, as good as our people are and as hard as they work, it takes more personnel to move cases through. I've got the same number of ADAs that my office had in the 1980s, okay? And our law enforcement works hard to make these cases. Our victims are waiting. They deserve justice. And even if you've been accused of a crime, you shouldn't have to wait 4 or 5 or 6 years for your case to go to court. One of those murders I told you about that I tried 3 months ago happened in 2017. Okay? We can do better than that. We've got to do better than that. Our citizens deserve better than that. And so I'm here to tell you what we will do in the event that this passes. I appreciate the chance to be here with you today and to be here with this distinguished panel. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Chris Van Dyke, COO of Wellstone.
Hi, I'm Chris Van Dyke. I just also want to say I'm neutral on this bill. I will say that mental health needs, I believe everyone have seen, are increasing, and our state has struggled for ways to fund those needs. I do think we're making progress, but there's still so many needs in our community. Things like crisis care and residential care are huge needs. So any funding that comes along could definitely impact those.
All right, thank you, Chris. Next, we have, Joey Robertson with Wagon Trail Hemp Farms.
Good afternoon. I'd like to also echo my thanks to.
Just a bit closer, yes.
Okay.
Just there.
Working now?
Can you hear?
Yes.
Okay. Joey Robertson with Wagon Trail MedServe. So we are actually one of the 5 recipients of an integrated medical cannabis license in the state of Alabama. We're still waiting on our license to finalize, to be issued the license. And our intention is to bring a dispensary to Coleman so that we can serve not only Coleman, but also the local counties around. The beauty of Coleman in passing the ordinance allowing us to be here is Blount County and several other counties, Winston, none of them have an ordinance allowing for a medical cannabis dispensary to exist there. So I want to thank everyone for being here. I will not be speaking in favor of this today. I do believe that, and I understand the need for the finances throughout. I completely understand the cost of everything is up, and they do need the support in different ways. My issue would be that we're trying to tax what is medicinal, and this is for patients. This is not at all for recreational use. So I would hope that there might be a different way, because the truth of the matter is today we're the testing, we're the beta. So if Coleman passes this ordinance, then, or I'm sorry, amendment, then what we're going to be looking at is almost every other district attorney's office in the state looking at the same thing. So it's an unreasonably high tax for medical cannabis. If we ever have to address recreational cannabis, I completely would support any kind of taxes needed on recreational. This is for some of the sickest patients. And I'm gonna, so I don't miss one, I'm gonna read them off the AMCC's website. We have patients that qualify: autism spectrum disorder, cancer-related nausea or vomiting, weight loss, chronic pain, Crohn's disease, depression, epilepsy or conditions causing seizures, HIV or AIDS-related nausea and weight loss, panic disorder, Parkinson's, persistent nausea, PTSD, sickle cell anemia, MS, Tourette's, and intractable pain. So understanding that patients are only going to qualify for these specific symptoms, I think it would be wrong to try to tax these individuals when they're already at their weakest, most financially vulnerable positions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Ed Potter, and I work with victims of crimes here in the Coleman County for the Sheriff's Office. But part of my job is trying to connect services for the people in the community. And one of those things that I try to work with is the mentally ill. You know, I help with the procedure. I talk about procedures of how to go about getting help for their loved ones and things like that. But the thing is, we don't have services here that we need. And every day, I had a lady call me just the other day, said, hey, my son needs help. I said, well, we can try this. Doesn't mean we'll get it. He ended up being committed, but every day I have a phone call about mental illness and what kind of services can we get for my mentally ill father, son, mother, wife. So we are very limited in this county due to us living in a rural area of mental health services. And we are also neutral on this vote, but we foresee the mental health needs in this community, and it's great.
We'll just go backwards, and I do believe that the question that I had planned to ask, you pretty much answered the question, but if, it might just give you, if there's something that jogs your mind you want to add to it before we open up to the floor, this will give you an opportunity to do that. We'll just start with you, Captain Potter, since we'll just go backwards, okay? In your from your perspective in law enforcement, do you see any public safety concerns or benefits related to this bill?
Well, with cannabis, we will have an increase of services for accidents, and we'll have more calls for emergency services as far as this bill and stuff.
Okay.
Is that? Yeah, but we will see an increase of mental health needs. We'll see an increase in law enforcement needs, and also the DA's office as well, due to people driving with cannabis and stuff. So in Colorado, it went up 15%.
Joe Robertson, I don't know that your mic was working.
Either you weren't holding it closer.
It
was working, just not close enough. Just use that. That sounds perfect.
Thank you.
We just got to put it right up there. All right. Like I said, I think you probably answered this, Joey, but given your expertise in the cannabis industry, what impact do you think this 15% tax might have on medical cannabis as well as consumers and dispensary operations in Coleman County?
Well, to be honest, the 15% added to the local sales tax that we already have, added to the additional 9% that's going to be mandated by the Alabama Medical Cannabis Commission for them to operate as an entity and also to put the money back into research. We're going to effectively increase the tax to a 33% tax rate. So it's going to become unattainable for the patients at that time for them to actually be able to afford it. So I come to you more today as a patient advocate, to be honest, than I do as a business person, because the reality is we're not able to operate yet in Coleman County. So we will be able to. I do hope that the tax does not pass, because what it's going to force me to do as a business owner is to reassess if I need to open a dispensary in Coleman County, which is a centralized location that can serve at least 5 counties. So, it's going to bring in a tremendous amount of revenue in the first place for hopefully our local community and the surrounding counties, but to make it unattainable for patients who are struggling to make ends meet and to get the relief that they need. Please understand, this is a tool in the tool chest, okay? We have traditional medicines. This is not for people who need those traditional medicines to still work for them. This is for a non-traditional, we have tried everything, we're not getting the relief that we need. So to tax the most vulnerable citizens of this county and the surrounding counties on something like this, and again, I can reiterate, I completely understand the need for the revenue in the district attorney's office and mental health. It's on the rise. We know that. But there should be an alternative way to find those funds.
Thank you. Chris Van Dyke, we'll go to you now. In an article in the Coleman Tribune, let me quote this here. Chris Van Dyke, CEO of Wellstone, said the potential funding. No one has any estimate of what it will generate. Wellstone is not guaranteed anything because it is at the discretion of the delegation. No one has made any plans, but there are needs to be met, such as residential care for people with mental illness. So you noted that Wellstone hasn't been promised specific funding yet. If the legislative delegation allots funding for mental health, what are the top priorities that you would address with that support?
Yes, again, it's hard to know without knowing a projection for what it will generate of what we could do, but I can say that crisis care and residential care are really high on that list. Everyone knows apartment rents have skyrocketed. That impacts people at the lowest income level, people with disability the most. So it's very hard for people to find affordable housing, and people with a mental illness, there's lots of extra reasons for them to have trouble finding housing. So we would love to be able to expand our housing options here in Coleman and hopefully reduce the rate of homelessness, reduce the burden on family members. And then as far as crisis services go, we have mobile crisis teams now in Coleman, but if they need to take someone somewhere, they have to take them to our crisis center in Huntsville. And we would love to have a crisis center here in this area at some point. So those are some things that the funds could be used on.
Okay, thank you. Champ Crocker, let's see here. In the article from the Coleman Times, Corey Harbison, who sponsored the bill, said, the DA has been seeking ways to possibly get additional funding for his office to help hire more staff, Harbison told the Times in May of 2023. At one point, they got a lot from Worthless Check Unit, but that really hasn't been producing much at all at this point. We agreed as a delegation to let citizens vote for a tax on it, and it's earmarked for the DA's office and for mental health. It's pretty cut and dried. The citizens can decide if they want it or not, and our delegation is good with whatever the voters decide. Your office, and you did touch on this, but your office is funded through fees and court costs. If this amendment passes, how will the additional funding for personnel change your caseload or improve case processing or benefit public safety?
Thank you for that question. One of the things that you may not know is how DA's offices are funded in the state of Alabama. We are all funded on a deficit. Every DA's office in the state gets less than what it takes to operate their office. It's not just me, it's all 40-something DAs in the state. And then we make up that difference through different fees and court costs and things of that nature. There's got to be a better way than that. And it's left up to each DA to make up that difference however they can. I know in Baldwin County, the DA's office gets half a penny on sales tax. There are other DAs have done it different ways at the local level. Now, we have applied for grants. We've gotten grants. Grants are one-time money. Okay, you can't hire anybody off one-time money. And to answer the question, yes, I would plan on hiring more prosecutors to help us move cases through the system. And I will just say this, and I certainly sympathize with those, with the patients and the vulnerable people. I work with vulnerable people every day. And I would also say that those sick and vulnerable people have just as much an interest in having a safe community as anybody else does. This is not patient versus non-patient here. We all have an interest in having a safe community. We all have an interest in a mentally healthy community because justice is everybody's business. And when it comes to mental health, I've got the numbers with me if anybody wants to see them. In the last 34 months, since January 1st, 2022, the Colbert County Sheriff's Office has been dispatched on 707 mental health calls. Okay? That includes suicide attempts. That's 5 per week. All right? That's not counting the mentally ill people in the jails. This is not counting incidents at schools that SROs are dealing with. These are just the ones where there has been dispatch involved. With our Help and Families Initiative, we made 72 mental health referrals for school children in the last year. And I've got more about that in our annual report, which I have as you walk out the door on the table if you want to learn more about that. Thank you.
All right, so move through that pretty quick because we want the opportunity for you all to have a chance to ask your questions. So I just want to give a few guidelines for our public forum portion of the event today. When we call your name, and we're not just going to be set to this, it just gets us started. So if you have a question that comes up, we'll get you at the end of these that are listed here. So when we call your name, please approach the podium at the center aisle. If your question's already been asked and it comes to you, you can just say pass. But we're going to let you come to the center. You're going to state your name, and if applicable, please tell your affiliation and your group that you're with. If that's not applicable, you don't have to do that. As a reminder, please, we're asking questions. If you start with a statement, that's fine. But let's make sure you have a question involved in that. Ask your questions clearly and concisely. Want to give as many people as possible the chance to ask their questions. So we're going to limit your question to 1 minute. Once everybody's had a chance, if you wanted to come back around, loop back around, we'll give you another opportunity. We'll finish at 3 o'clock today, so we can keep asking questions till then. So but we'll go ahead and do 1 minute on that. Please no personal attacks or inappropriate language. We're here for a constructive dialogue that's going to inform voters for the item that will be on the ballot next Tuesday. Follow-ups are going to be allowed only if time permits after everyone has had a chance to ask their initial questions, okay? And we'll give you all, if you as, in response to that, a 2-minute time limit to respond to the question, okay? So everybody got 1 question, 1 minute on the asking, 2 on the response, and then if we can circle back around, we'll do that. Sound good? All right. If your question is directed to a specific panelist, if you would indicate so, who that is that you're directing the question to. Otherwise, panelists, you can choose to be the one to answer if you want to take that. Okay? All right, and I'll just go down the list that we have here of people that have signed up to ask a question. Janet Chandler, if you come on down. And on deck, Amanda Taylor. You're ready. Yeah.
I'm Janet Chandler with the Coleman Tribune, And I'd like to thank Dr. Korolowitz and Wallace State College for providing this town hall event. This is for all on the panel. It was stated by D.A. Crocker, Representative Harbison, and Mr. Van Dyke in a recent story from the Coleman Tribune that as of the time of the publication of the article, there is no clue how much revenue medical marijuana will generate. If that's the case, would it not be a prudent decision to wait and see rather than levy a heavier tax than what's currently on alcohol and tobacco?
That was for anyone on the
Yes, ma'am.
panel who would like to answer that question.
I'll take. Well, Janet, thank you for your question, and that's exactly right. We don't know what this is going to generate. It may be a small amount. It may be a substantial amount. We don't know. This has not been done before. Of course, as you know, this passed the legislature in May of 2023, and it will be on the ballot for the voters to decide whether they want to do this or not. So that is, and that election is 1 week away. I will say this: there is the split in the referendum of the 2/3, 1/3, and I've already told Mr. Van Dyke and Captain Potter that if this passes and the needs of our office are met as far as getting more personnel we need, I would be open to adjusting that split to provide more for mental health than what is actually in the referendum. And whatever that process includes, that's certainly something that I would be open to going forward. Anyone else?
Okay. All right, Amanda Taylor. Oh, I'm sorry. No, you were passing the mic. Go for it. Yeah, go for it.
So, what I would say in that, and of course, I do not control legislation. I don't know where anything comes from, but in your reference to alcohol, I know that Coleman County generated about $1.1 million last year in a 12% tax on hard liquor. So, if we were to start over and we were to propose an amendment to add additional taxes, I would think a more relevant tax would be to add 3% to hard liquor. That 3% on 1.1 equates to about $275,000 additional dollars that could go directly to the district attorney's office and they could use as needed. But to assess a 15%, 3% higher than hard liquor tax on medical cannabis, which is to be distributed to the patients, it's a bit much. So in certain states like Colorado, you do have 15% taxes on recreational cannabis, but that's anyone who would like to have it. That's not the case here. Again, this is patient related. We should demonize alcohol, maybe, possibly, add 3% to it, get the same potential revenues by my projections through alcohol as what we would do by an industry that has not even come to fruition and developed yet.
Anyone else on the panel? Thank you. Okay, thank you, Janet. Amanda Taylor.
Excuse me, is that microphone on? I can't, it don't sound like it.
Todd, can you check the microphone? Make sure it is, please. Thank you.
Test.
Yes.
Yes.
Amanda Taylor, and then next is going to be Stephanie Ford.
My name is Amanda Taylor, and I'm well known to this state as a medical cannabis patient advocate. I fought so hard for the bill to be passed that I was personally invited to the bill signing. And I know we are limited to 1 minute. I battle 7 debilitating diseases. Multiple sclerosis is one of those, so I think y'all can cut me some slack. One of the things I need to make a statement first. The way that a town cares for its weakest and its most vulnerable people shows a great deal about the leadership. I worked in the medical cannabis industry. This is not something that we did. As you can tell, I'm very much against it, but one of the questions that I wanted to ask, if the tax money for mental health is going into a general fund dispersed at the whim of 4 delegates, Representatives of Harbison, Shedd, Wadsworth, and Gudger, how can you assure that these tax dollars stay in Coleman to help these locally suffering for mental health issues instead of being used to prop up state facilities in other regions?
Do you are directed at anyone in particular or anyone on all? Okay, anyone have a comment to answer?
I could start.
Good job.
Okay, maybe
There
it's
you
I
go.
can hear myself now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so much. Look, y'all have to forgive me. I took public speaking at Wallace, and it's been a long time. So if there was one class I should have failed, that would have been it. But no, they did a great job here. I love Wallace State. What I would say for the 33% that's going towards the patients and the mental health is we have to look at the approved, and it's a little bit off from your question, but we have to look at the approved diagnoses and realize that 3 or 4 of those approved diagnoses are actually for mental health patients.
Exactly. That's
So,
what I'm
and what I would say towards that is it really a fair deal to give this patient a new tool, have a doctor prescribe it or recommend it to them go to the dispensary, have it filled, and then be taxed at a heavier rate than alcohol, then turn around and pay for other people who have mental health disorders as well. So they're using this tool and this medicine to help them, and I'm not saying it's the cure, I'm not saying anything. It's a new tool that people need, and giving them this tool, but making it inaccessible and unavailable for them to pay. Average cost of a patient going into a dispensary is going to be around $80 to $100. And that $100 at the current tax rates, if we pass this, is going to be $133. So they're going to visit twice a month. $66 additional dollars on top of what they already have to pay out of pocket. So I'm sorry if I didn't answer your question exactly, but hopefully that helps.
Anyone else?
Yeah, so the question, as I understood it, was how can we be sure our legislators will spend the mental health money locally rather than somewhere else? And I would just say that your elected officials are accountable to you, the citizens, okay? And I would say that based on my conversations with the legislators, and I think it's no secret to anybody in this room that we're all aware of the mental health problems in society in general, particularly here in Coleman County. And I know the Coleman Times is here. I brought an article from 2017, and I want to read this to you. How many times have we talked about law enforcement in standoffs or law enforcement in shootouts with a mentally ill person or citizens getting hurt? The system is failing our citizens. It's time we stand up and fix this mental health. That's from Sheriff Matt Gentry. Okay? After a chilling murder which occurred in July of 2017, where he talked about how the mental health system failed. So I would say based on that our legislative delegation should be well aware of the problems and the needs in Coleman County.
Just to add to that answer, it should be public record how those funds are spent. I'm not sure the format for that, but I don't have any personal concern that the money would be shifted to another part of the state.
But in doing so, are you all aware on the panel, as I work in the industry, that if this happens, all you're doing is driving people away from Coleman to somewhere else. So all this revenue that you're thinking that you're bringing in, you're actually excluding. You're causing patients like myself who are sick, suffering, and dying, and some more, got them right here with me, to have to drive an hour away or more to get the medication that we're supposed to be getting. And medication is not supposed to be taxed. And what I see is that law exists to prevent needless suffering and bring order to our society. Law exists to protect the weak from being abused by the powerful. Giving comfort to those of us who suffer is morally right. Adding taxes to someone that is sick, suffering, and on the brink of death is not morally right at all.
Thank you. If we have time, we'll circle back around, okay? Got four more people on the list. Stephanie Fortner, if you would come up, please. And Kelly Burgess, you'll be next. You're on deck.
Good afternoon. I'm Stephanie Fortner. I've lived in Coleman all my life. Graduated from Wallace State in 1999 with a medical coding degree. 6 years ago, October 5th, 2018, changed my life and my family's life. I'm sorry if I get teary-eyed. I was diagnosed with stage 4 ovarian cancer, mets to my omentum. 2 weeks later, we added colon. They gave me 1 out of 5 chances to live. I couldn't take Zofran for nausea. I was sick. I'm allergic to Zofran. My friend brought in a gummy. It was not THC, it was CBD at that time. And I didn't vomit. Like my kid, my 16-year-old was handing me my gummy so I wouldn't vomit. I haven't been able to get my lab-created medicine since January of 2024, which is called Marinol. It's a medical marijuana that we have been using for years in Alabama. It's not taxed. My prescription insurance covers this. I was in the hospital from January to February for 3 weeks. I just got a bill for 6 days in August that I stayed at Coleman Regional for $1,600. I can't work anymore. I have chemo brain. If you see, I will forget my words. I'll be in mid-sentence talking and I will forget everything. $1,600 I'm having to come up with. My husband, yes, he does work, but we still have bills. And I have a 16-year-old that dad hasn't been in his life in 10 years. So it's just me paying for him and to go to college. Yes, we work together, but my question is, I can go to specialty pharmacy and be able to get my prescription of Norco that can kill my grandkids, can kill my husband, can kill me, but it's okay if I pay $1.50 for that prescription. I don't drink because it makes me sick. But why can alcohol and hard liquor be taxed 3% lower than medical cannabis when it's a plant? I could literally go over there to that fern and chew it, just like I could a cannabis plant. This is medicinal. This is for patients. Somebody said earlier about recreational. When that gets by, we'll decide that. But why are we allowing hard liquor and alcohol that kills 1 person every 39 minutes? There's not been 1 person that has ever died of cannabis, medical or recreational, at all. If you look in their toxicology report, there's more than cannabis listed if someone dies. You would have to have 1,500 pounds of marijuana to kill somebody in 15 minutes. Goes back to show you that marijuana does not kill. Why can we tax a medicine that I can't get? I have to go on vacation to be able to get medicine because my specialty pharmacy in Coleman cannot get Marinol. Why is this taxed when it is a medicine? I do not understand.
Okay, would like to take that question.
And on mental health, I have anxiety. I couldn't drive for 20 years when I started CBD, guess what? I drive by myself all the time
Thank
and
you.
ride elevators.
Thank you. Do you all have a response to the question of this tax on hard liquor compared to what this proposed is? Anyone? Okay. Thank you, Stephanie.
See,
Okay.
But that's,
Kelly?
we're not giving answers.
No.
Well,
Most-
can I respond?
Yeah.
I was, Stephanie, with as far as alcohol taxes, the municipalities that they have alcohol ordinances that lay some of those things out. That's done at a lot of that's done at the municipal level, and I'm not that familiar with the alcohol taxes, okay? But I know that was done when Coleman went wet and different municipalities went wet. A lot of that was written into the ordinance process after the people voted that in. But one similarity I would say is that, like alcohol or not, that was put on the ballot for the people to decide. And just like this issue here is on the ballot for the people to decide. And I think everybody on this panel are transparent individuals. That's why everyone is here. And thank you for discussing what you've gone through. I've known you. I've known you for several years. Coached your son in soccer, and thank a lot of you and your family. I'm sorry that you suffered the way that you have, Stephanie. But at the end of the day, it's about transparency and the people deciding what's going to happen.
But do they know it's medicine? I mean, people aren't educated. I wasn't until 6 years ago. And I have a hormone that is out in my blood that we can supplement, and a doctor, I just taught my nurse practitioner this 2 weeks ago. You can have a hormone blocker, and it blocks the high. You don't get the high that everybody, I can sit here and eat 3 gummies. If you've known me the last 6 years, I've been on medical cannabis. Nobody knows, I mean.
That's why, I think that's why Wallace has agreed to do something like this, just to
Well, that's
education
right.
is what it is.
I just don't understand why
Yeah.
we're even in a contest on
Yes.
medicine.
We're going to keep going so that way we can get the people, because we're done at 3, so we want to give everybody a chance to put down their hands to speak.
My name
So,
is
cut you
Kelly
off.
Burgess. In 2017, I was diagnosed with chronic myelogenous leukemia. It's a type of leukemia that never goes away. To take a chemo pill twice a day for the rest of my life. When I tell you I was sick, 5 out of the 7 days a week, throwing up in a toilet 5-7 times in the morning. I started CBD. My 7-year-old son at the time would go get it for me while I'm vomiting over the toilet and say, "Here, Mama, this works for you. Here, you take this." My children can see that it works for me. You want to tax medical cannabis more than you do alcohol is mind-blowing to me. It makes 0 sense. I ask that you don't remain neutral, as y'all said you were on it. I ask that you don't pad your pockets and you pad our health. We all have jobs. Everybody deserves to get paid for their job. Not from somebody suffering from cancer, not from somebody suffering from MS, not from somebody suffering from years. I watched my best friend almost die. Not many people live past 5 years with what she has. She doesn't do it to get high. I don't do it to get high. I do it because I have 3 kids in every sport. I run 3 different businesses. Who can lay around on Finnerbin all day, every day? You can't. You can't. I coached for 12 years. Nobody there ever knew I was on medical cannabis. But look at me go. You want to know what I had to do? I had to go rent a house in Florida, to get Rick Simpson oil, which specifically kills cancer. And I had to pay to have power and water cut on there. My money went to another state instead of here where I've been born and raised all my life. They charge my insurance $10,000 a month for my chemo. Why don't you tax alcohol more instead of medical cannabis? Or nicotine. Anything like that. That's killing people. That's actually causing mental illness, alcohol, all that. Why don't you tax them?
Is that your question?
Yeah.
Whether I think
Why don't
that was the
you
last
increase
one.
that tax? Why don't you fight for that to be increased?
Does anyone have, they're not, I don't think that, do you have an answer to that one?
Well, I would just, we don't,
They're not writing the bills. So.
and we're not writing the bill, and we don't know what this is going to cost an individual person. We don't know how much it's going to bring in. We don't know what that cost will be. And again, I think it's important that everybody here. I think we've learned a lot from those of you who have spoken. I appreciate that. I appreciate you being here. And I think it's important that everybody be respectful. I hope that we've been respectful towards you. And again, providing information is the reason why I'm here, and I think the reason why these other individuals are here.
That's why we're all here. I
And
think
that's
everybody on
what
all
we
sides
need
is
to
to
fight
do
for.
that. So
Fight for it, be vocal about it. Be vocal about it. Like,
Well-
everybody, anybody you can. We're little peons here. We can't do what all y'all can do. Fight for it. You mentioned so much mental illness. What about medical illness, like cancer, like?
Thank you very much. Dwight Thompson. And then Janet Chandler, you're on deck.
I was hoping we wouldn't be limited to 3 minutes like the county commissioner, but I was sadly mistaken. 1 minute's a lot less than 3.
Well, we're going over a little bit, so we'll give you a little bit of grace. We'll give you a little bit of grace here, but we are going to try to keep it to 3 o'clock, so we're going to be great. Thank you.
All my comments are typed up, and I've already given them to some people, so maybe I'll give them to anybody that wants them. But I spent all day yesterday and all morning trying to assimilate the vast amount of information that Patrick gave us in the newspaper. It's amazing that we didn't find out about it until the ballot was published last week, or maybe 2 weeks ago. And then Patrick did this community a great service by explaining the situation to us. After all, I've got about 10 or 15 questions.
Oh, we'll do that many.
As I finished up typing it up today and started to get in the car, come over here, I thought, what is the bottom line that everybody can agree on? And that would be, how much money does the district attorney need to do his job? And is crime going to increase that causes him to need more money? And if so, what about funding the police and the sheriff? If his job is going to be more due to this cannabis, well, what about all the other law enforcement? I got about, like I say, 15 other questions, but I thought that is the one question that was not answered by Patrick. How much money do you need to do your job? I may be wrong, but is there actually a legislator or county commissioner here today?
No, sir.
No, sir. That is so disappointing. What is going on here?
Would you like for just a DA to answer that question this time?
Mr. Thompson, thank you for your question. And as I mentioned, the funding for DA's offices in this state is far from perfect. And last year, I received.
All I wanted was a number. How much do you need to do your job?
That's what I'm getting to. Last year, we received $463,000 from the state. This fiscal year, we're getting a little bit over $500,000 from the state, and then I have to make up that difference. I would like to hire 4 more assistant district attorneys, okay? You're looking, when it comes to recruiting and retaining attorneys, that takes money when you factor in competitive salary, benefits. We're having to go against in fighting crime, we're having to go against the best lawyers money can buy. Okay, and I am very proud of the lawyers who I have working with us. I just need more of them. Okay, and to be able to pay somebody, you're looking at total compensation of $100,000 a person. So I think we need that times 4 on top of what we're doing now in order to do this. Because when I took office, the number of cases I inherited, 4,995 cases. Okay? That is from traffic to felonies. And I will point out that the number I gave you may be on the low end because Coleman County is one of the fastest growing counties in the state. I believe we're on the campus of the largest community college in the state. And it's just a fact of life that when you have more people, you are going to have more cases come through, from traffic tickets to felonies. Not only that, is we have more courts than we used to have. We have a mental health court now that was set up 2 years ago. We have a veterans court. We have a drug court. We have a vape court. And all of those things are great, and I'm a huge proponent of them, but it takes more manpower to be able to staff those courts and to be able to get cases through the court system when you're fighting the battle on that many fronts.
Okay, thank you. Janet? Dwight, once Janet goes,
I think Mr. Thompson had a follow-up.
oh, okay, and then we'll go back to you. Okay.
I want to make it clear, I totally agree that you need what you gotta have to do the job. Is there anybody in this room that gets charged with a crime and wants to wait 5 years for their day in court?
Absolutely
We've
not.
got to address the problem, but not this way.
Okay. Ms. Janet?
Can I say
Oh, I'm sorry, I was going to say
Well,
something. You come on up, get ready.
So, again, he's dealt the hand that he has right now. I completely understand that he is, and he needs the money for his office. There is no question or doubt in that. Just a simple, I'm not a legislator. I don't understand how everything works, but I do understand that alcohol, raise it 3%. $275,000 additional dollars on this last year's revenue generated in Coleman County on alcohol, hard liquor, okay? Raise it to that. And in essence, in answer to the additional legal needs, this is regulated by the state. These patients are going to not only be prescribed that medicine will be logged in the state system. They will have they're limited to a maximum amount of dosages per day. So to think that these patients are going to be getting out and driving and causing additional issues, it's not recreational, folks. We're not smoking pot on the corners, okay? We're taking a pain patch. We're using a suppository. We're not looking to increase crime on a medicinal product. And what we are looking at is a great reduction by studies all over the United States, including a Harvard study showing that the opioid use dropped significantly. So to say that we are putting a sin tax on cannabis right now when we have people overdosing on opioids and having the issues they are, and the dependencies and the mental issues caused by opioids, it's far-fetched.
Mm-hmm. Janet, your question?
Joey, this question is for you.
Oh.
Me, Joey.
Oh, I was like, man, no, I don't want any questions.
Joey Robertson, how will a large imposed tax directly impact your business? And will a higher tax force you to find a new location outside of Coleman County? If so, how many jobs will this impact? And what does that mean for our region?
Okay, great question. And the truth of the matter is, yes, it does impact me directly, but it would make me have to consider taking this dispensary that I intend to put in Coleman County and serving the 5 surrounding counties and moving it to another county. The closest right now would be Decatur or potentially Jasper. I love this community. I was raised here. So I want this benefit to be here in our community. Now, I want to put on my patient hat and realize that from a patient advocacy standpoint, it's not fair with this tax passing that a patient has to pay that additional 15%, or that they would be forced then to go to a dispensary. I'm the only licensed integrated facility in all of North Alabama. So there's going to be 37 dispensaries throughout the entire state of Alabama. Okay, one other is in Coleman, and I can tell you he's considering moving his dispensary as well. So it's not fair to the patients. You know, we're not going back to when we had to drive to another county to buy alcohol here. This is patients, okay? They should have that access locally, and all the surrounding counties are going to be coming here as well, because this will be a central location for patients to come and get the medicine that they need.
Did you have another one? You were the last that list.
I'm sorry.
Did you have another question?
I do
Because-
have
okay,
another
go ahead, you can
question.
ask one more, because I think we have time
Okay.
to do one more.
Let's see, this is for all the panel. Are there any documented reports regarding increases in crime or mental health emergencies in communities that have introduced medical marijuana?
John, first.
I touched on this a little bit to begin with. There's actually, you know, as far as mental health goes, mental health is what this is approved for. So 3, I believe maybe 4 of the diagnoses here are for mental health and the treatment of mental health. So I want to get that out there. But again, I think we would see a significant reduction in crime and opioid use and everything else. And I don't have a magic crystal ball.
Pressure bill might go up.
Right, but I would say that this is a benefit of the community, and the patient shouldn't receive a tax that could force them to another county to purchase it.
Anyone else from the panel?
I think Captain Potter mentioned this early on as far as statistics. I'm not sure the answer to that question, Janet, but I thought you might have been familiar with it.
I haven't I've researched cannabis use, but I haven't done it on the medical side of it, so I don't have that research available.
Cancer patients.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I have 3 minutes, like you have a quick question?
Oh,
Yeah, you have a quick question, okay. Before this.
Again, I'm Stephanie Fortner. Y'all did bring up the mental health, and my question is, why aren't we taxing all of medicinal use, prescriptions, on mental health? If these people, you know, if you want to go directly to mental health, and I'm a mental health activist, I think everybody should have counselors. I think that it's great to talk to whoever, because obviously our Army, our veterans, everybody needs mental health. All of these shootings are related to mental health, not cannabis. This is more people on alcohol and opioids doing the damage here instead of medical cannabis.
Amen.
We're
Yes.
at home asleep. You know, we're tired. We have
We're sick.
medical, we're sick, we're throwing up. We're not out shooting up schools. They need to have mental awareness, absolutely. But it does not need to be on our side of the patients that's having, I wouldn't want another patient that's mental health should be free. Let's just face it, there's a lot of mental health. I was in the medical industry for 20-something years. I had patients waiting 24 hours to go to a mental facility, but it shouldn't be on any patient. It shouldn't be on mental. It shouldn't be on cancer. This has nothing to do with A versus B and us going out and smoking a joint on the side of Coleman. No, we're at home. We need help. I can't even pay my bills, and I feel like we're a little bit above poverty, not much. But if I get taxed more, there's no way. I'm flying out. It's better for me to fly out to Vegas, get my medicine, and hope to God that I can get back home without going to jail. I've never been in jail. I'm a great citizen. I support my community. My son is my life. But if I die, and I'm trying not to die, he have a mom or a dad. His dad's been out of his life forever.
Thank you very much, Sharon. Okay, we're going to close at this time. It's 3 o'clock. I'm going to give 1 minute. If there's anything you want to add, we're going to stick tight to that 1 minute because we are at 3 o'clock. So if anybody has anything they want to say in closing, otherwise, you do have something?
Yeah, I do. 1 in 5 people have mental illness. In 2013, I received a Respect Award. In 2013, the legislature took $40 million away from mental health. And I hear your questions, and my heart goes out to you, but we're the wrong group to ask that question. And, you know, if you see my name, it's mostly to do with advocacy, and so I'm a big advocate, but we need to ask these questions to our delegates here in Coleman County.
And
Why were they not, why were they not here?
And we appreciate y'all showing
Yes,
up
we
for us.
appreciate it.
Likewise.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said, and I do think that that's a very common sentiment that you shared, that mental health should be free. The problem is, no one ever wants to pay for that, so how do we make mental health better if we don't fund it?
Alcohol, they're not gonna do without their alcohol.
They charged me
Do you have
$2.50 a
anything
month
else?
for my
Closing-
chemo,
closings?
and I get door tabs for $1.50.
Okay, thank you guys for your participation and for your thoughtful questions and for your commentary, because I think it was good for everyone to hear. I know we have local papers here, we have news here, so you did make a difference in sharing your opinions. Thank you all for being here today, and I know you didn't have to be, but thank you for being here to be a part of this. Thank you to District Attorney Champ Crocker, Chris Van Dyke, Captain Ed Potter, and Joey Robertson. Thank you to Wallace State for hosting today and giving us this meeting space. Remember, the vote on this amendment is going to take place on November 5th. It is important that everyone stays informed to make the best decisions for our community. Have a great afternoon, and thank you again for being here today. We're dismissed.